Well, good evening. It is 6:32, and we've been having a lively discussion about the eclipse. It is time to call to order the Energy Committee meeting for April 10th, 2024. We have 3 members here, which is not quite a quorum. Who else is? Kevin's on. Good. Thank you. And I see we have Kim up there as a guest. So do we have, is anybody else online?
No.
No, so we do have a quorum. Do we have any public comment outside of items that are on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to the review of the minutes from our last meeting of March 27th.
Okay.
Which was packed full of, we did a lot of work.
Yeah.
And we didn't even go overtime.
No, so we had a discussion of the EECBG grant and deciding on what we would recommend for using that. So there were a number of items. Discussion about priorities for work here, and the discussion on the need for a revolving loan fund. And we jumped right into the energy plan update, which we waded through all of the transportation section, and the comments are all recorded here.
Sometimes I see my contributions in the minutes and I'm like, oh.
Oh, good.
And feel free, if I ever don't capture it accurately, feel free to chime in and.
There was a lot of information here. I read through it, seemed accurate. And then we are jumping into also discussed about, well, still the transit, discussed public transit, and then we began to discuss building energy to some degree, which will be the majority of this week's work. So, and we now have
Kevin
Batson is now on here, so there are 5 of us. Excellent. So, do I have a motion from the floor to adopt the minutes as
I'll
proposed?
motion that.
All right, and a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented for March 27th, 2024, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? No, the ayes have it, 5-0.
Okie dokie.
Thank you.
All right. So. Let's see.
Now, we're moving on to building energy. So, Melinda has done a tremendous job and sent out another survey to get our input prior to this so that we can see where we want to go with the building energy, either what's in there now or amendments or proposed changes.
Oh, hey.
More.
Eric is joining us. Come on in, sir. We're just starting to look over the survey results from that Melinda has sent out.
Yeah, I just figured, this is probably as easy a way to go through it, just like looking at the
Yes.
survey, because every point is there, and then you can discuss it, and
The one thing that I realize now is costs, the one thing that we didn't get at was, can we make it more obvious that we are going to report the savings? Cause we say impact.
yeah, we can do that. I haven't been doing that in Energy Star portfolio because I didn't start doing that, and so now, if I did do that, I'd have to
Oh,
go back like all those years. I mean, I could start doing it from here. I could definitely do that, and we do have that in the annual report. We do report out costs, so at least here we have a record of it, voted out annually.
Yeah, I'm thinking of like some of the recent public comments and just when we've talked in the past about how we get more public buy-in, and one of the things is dollars and cents, especially given that no budget's passed. Like, any way we can show people that we're not like pursuing an expensive agenda just for, being green, but we are doing things that are actively saving tax dollar money. Or tax dollar money, oh, sorry, it's been a long day.
Yeah.
Taxpayer money.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I think that might be better captured, like if you take costs over like well. Even in a single building, it may not capture, like if you replace the lights with LED. You will see energy savings from that, but it might not be captured in the entire building because something else might be going on, but. So I don't know, it's hard. I mean, I feel like, before and after is kind of a good way to do it, and which was done, back in 2010 when they did insulating and replaced LEDs at town hall. And you could see a really dramatic difference, in the before and after costs and the energy savings, but.
So maybe cost is sufficient, we just make a note in that report, it's like energy efficiency contributes to the declining costs over time. And-
Yeah, I mean, we could definitely take a stab at it and kind of try to track it better. For sure. Anyway.
It looks like for the respondents, there were how many of us responded?
5.
5 out of 7, so 100% agreed that this looked okay. Do you want to propose a change, Maria? To the wording?
I don't think so, I just wanted to get clarity on what this actually translates into, and if we wanted to be more specific at saying that we would report savings, and it sounds like it's kind of, I realize it is a difficult thing to do because it's hard to attribute savings to specific changes when there are so many other things happening.
It does say the last bit.
Yeah.
Benchmarking to show changes, yeah.
Summarized along with costs and benchmarking.
So I think that's sufficient.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just was wondering, even if, when we do this report, essentially, can we make it, and maybe that's up to us too, to just, in our work, to showcase. Hey, look at, this translates into real savings, even if we don't put a dollar figure to it, like, we showcase the fact that it is creating savings.
Mhm.
All right.
So,
Support the efforts. The Champlain Valley School District to monitor and publish information on school buildings of energy efficiency and measure the impact of efficiency measures already taken. Reporting should include an assessment of progress schools are making towards the goals of state's comprehensive energy. So we're a bit more split this time.
yeah, so,
Just 10.
someone said, I need to know more and how this fits in with our town and what they're committed to. And that was sort
Oh,
of,
that was me.
okay. And then how often, I think I made a change in the draft document, just saying it would be an annual report. But I think this is a more basic question, like, yeah, so clarify.
Yeah, cause we, obviously, we have, what, 2 buildings, Williston Central School and Allenbrook.
Mhm.
But the greater CVSD is a much bigger organization, and I'm wondering when they are. Like, how do these things like really align? Because I mean, we can support them, but what does that look like? Does it mean that we take things that they've reported on and make sure our town knows about it, like what, I guess when I reread this, I wasn't sure what our actual role was, given CVSD is an independent entity from the town. And
Right.
their
Yeah.
stuff is,
Mhm.
it's more than just our two buildings,
Yeah.
essentially.
And when this, basically, so this is taken like from the 2020 plan, and when that plan was written, there wasn't it was just the Williston and Williston schools there wasn't a district, right? Or there,
I'm not sure when the district came out.
I
Now, I
think it was
know
after.
when we wrote the 2020
maybe,
plan,
I don't know.
starting back in probably 2018,
Yeah,
schools weren't even originally mentioned, in the thought process, but then we said, well, there's such a big part of who we are as a community that we should start
mhm.
making statements about them, and probably not really having any idea how we would do that. Yeah,
And I think that this language has been changed from the original language, in that the original language was much more like, work with the schools and make sure they do this, this is more
yes,
like,
yeah,
well, you can encourage and support, and
right,
if they approach us and they want help with, like, whatever, anything, be there as a support, connect them with resources, but they're also pretty good at doing that themselves too, so,
I think from a budgetary perspective, they probably have an obligation to show
mhm,
what they're doing from a building energy perspective, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I made the purple comment
um,
on,
oh, we recommend, well,
yeah, so,
so what's the difference between should and we recommend? Like, and who's we? when you put we
yeah,
recommend?
I guess it's, if this is coming from the town, but we don't own the school district buildings,
Mhm,
are they obligated to perform to the goals of the state comprehensive energy plan
mhm.
the way the town does? I don't know, and so it just kind of struck me, or maybe we should change it, but if,
I mean, I tried to figure out how to go ahead.
go ahead, Kevin.
So, sorry to interrupt. Chapin just texted me that he's in the waiting room.
Oh,
Can't
sorry.
get into the Zoom meeting. Sorry to interrupt.
No
Thank
worries,
you.
thank you,
We didn't see it.
yeah. I wonder how long he's been there. Not too bad.
That's all right. Hello, Chapin.
Mhm.
So
You're-
it's okay with me if we, it's just yesterday when I was reading it,
Mhm.
the reporting from the school should include an assessment of progress towards the state goals. Are they obligated to that? What are their regulations, if any, or does that state law govern everybody,
I really don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think it does.
I wouldn't think
Yeah,
so,
I think so.
because they're a not-for-profit essentially, right? But they are state funded.
yeah.
I mean, it might
think
be a
so.
Melanie question, but,
Yeah,
um,
I don't wanna spend an awful long
Yeah.
time, but that's why I made a comment about,
mhm.
I mean, like, what specifically would those schools need to accomplish in terms of goals to meet the state's comprehensive energy plan? Do we know that?
Just seems odd, because that's like saying all businesses must reduce, or all,
Yeah,
I don't think that's. I think this is more symbolic than a lead by example, as schools often are, and it's more of like, they probably want to meet the same. Or like try and follow some of the reduction goals, but not, I don't think they're bound to it by any means.
no, I mean, again, this is like, I see this as being, right, like lead by example, and like support the efforts of others who are trying to, reduce emissions and conserve energy, I guess.
Well, I'll withdraw my suggestion.
Okay,
Okay, so based on. You want to make a statement about this being annual, though, right? And you said you may have already put that
I
in
did,
there.
I put
Okay,
that in.
Okay.
Draft language.
then are we? Is the committee okay to move on?
Fine.
Yep. Okay. On the phone? Yes?
That's fine.
Thank you.
Okay,
All right.
okay, review the energy audits of municipal buildings that have been conducted, prioritize implementation actions that were recommended but not yet performed. Develop a plan and budget for implementation measures to be included in the town's capital improvement program. So somebody suggested a change. But we don't know what.
Recommended change.
Oh, I wonder if it was me because I was,
Oh,
it says to click it, but then to write it in other, and so I'm wondering if this happened a couple times for me. I think what I was saying here, uh, hold on. No, I don't think that was me, actually.
Because if you didn't click other, did it record it?
Prioritize implementation.
See, that's the problem, because you can't click two things.
Yeah,
no, but you can click other and then there's a
And then you
thing
could
that
put,
comes in.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
But you can't put, I agree with the intent, but recommended change, you can't click that red one and click other.
yeah, and write it
Yeah,
in.
yes, and
That's
write
the
it
thought,
in.
Yeah.
Oh.
They were
okay.
exclusive.
Got it,
Yeah.
alright, that was my.
But you could write something in and then go back and click the other one.
Yeah, it unclicks other.
I think this was
I
me,
know, but
but
the
now that
writing
I'm
stays
rereading.
there.
it-
But
Oh,
then it might not come
It might
through
not come
here
through,
on the survey
yes.
as a comment,
Yeah.
cause that's
Yes.
what I did for mine, so
Okay.
mine are.
I think it was mine, but I'm gonna rescind it. Because now that I'm rereading this, I think.
review the energy audits, prioritize implementation actions. that were Not yet performed, develop a plan and budget for implementation. It seems pretty straightforward in my.
Yeah, I think I read it differently when I filled that out, so I'll rescind mine.
How about folks, Kevin and Kevin,
Oh, yeah, it's all good.
okay? Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
work collaboratively with the utilities and energy vendors to periodically assess the efficiency levels of municipal thermal building envelopes, lighting, high vac, and other equipment and replace as necessary with Energy Star certified renewable energy equipment.
periodically assess is vague. And then add phase out equipment that uses fossil fuels.
Yeah,
And,
that was my comment. And
um,
also, should we be saying, utilities, energy vendors, and was Efficiency Vermont does this type of work too, right?
they're a utility.
Yeah, technically.
Oh, they're a
Yeah.
utility. Okay, well then, but that was my comment, I think, was
Mm,
we should phase out, fossil fuel, heating sources.
I added that in at the end. Here, let me go to this and. Yeah, okay. It's down here. Work collaboratively, energy vendors to periodically assessment. And I did not include thermal envelopes because they've already been, I mean, that's essentially an audit and all the buildings, all the town buildings have been audited. And the thermal envelope is not gonna, I mean, it'll change if it gets improved, but
Right.
you know, anyway. But the municipal lighting, HVAC, other equipment replaced as necessary. Energy Star certified renewable energy equipment, phase out the use of fossil fuel powered equipment over time by replacing with electric powered equipment at the end of the existing equipment's life cycle.
Should we always wait for that, or is there a certain,
Well,
I mean,
I'm sure there's like a life with a depreciation schedule, right?
It's like 6, 7 years, 7, 8 years, something like that.
Or like a boiler?
Well, typically, like, that's what the town uses for, they don't usually wait for 15 years or whatever the like life, I don't think, but.
Even on infrastructure equipment like IVAC?
I don't know, seems like they replace them pretty frequently,
Yeah,
yeah. But, and, I mean, yeah, ideally, you might not wanna wait, but given, I mean, you also should look at how realistic that is, given the town's fiscal,
you can't,
appetite.
you
I
can't
don't know,
advocate or get probably approval to change things just because the technology's gotten better on a more frequent schedule.
yeah. I don't know, but,
It goes along with Maria, your comment
Okay.
last week. You can't necessarily justify heat pumps in your home when you have a good natural gas system.
Yeah, it's like, we have a very efficient natural gas furnace. It's gonna die in like 2 years,
Yeah.
more than like, no, that's our water heater, that I'm very much looking forward to electrifying,
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
yeah.
Okay,
And there's.
it's not, we don't have to don't belabor it on my part. We just move on.
Alright, no,
Just
we
one
put your
question
comment. Yeah, go ahead.
that I had on that, I think some of my comments didn't come through the way I clicked the buttons, but, I was just wondering about the Energy Star certification.
and that comes through in the next question. That,
Oh, okay,
I,
all right.
I think.
I
that-
don't know, I guess I don't know enough about it, but sometimes when I'm looking at appliances, I'm like, really? That's Energy Star?
I
I don't
mean,
know, I didn't know how comprehensive it is.
Wait, sorry, I'm not following.
the Energy Star.
I'm just
certification.
questioning whether that's the standard that we wanna go for, is there something even better
Oh,
that we could shoot for?
Don't like air source heat pumps kind of imply Energy Stars. I mean, are those
Yeah, I
Energy
mean, they're
Star
definitely
certified, or
Energy
do
Star
they Go
certified.
through that process and a little star on those
Yeah.
packages.
I mean, I think Energy Star is, it's like a known certification standard that, I mean, you know, you could go higher, but
Efficiency Vermont, I remember when I was looking at things like, water heaters, since ours is about to die. There's definitely like an efficiency score,
Yeah,
and you can be Energy Star certified, but there's better and there's worse. But I think it would be hard to say they must be X% efficient and Energy Star. Like Energy Star, I think the reason it works is that we know those are all efficient. It would be hard to write a standard of our own beyond that,
Yeah.
if that makes any
Yeah.
sense. Unless you're talking about looking holistically and trying to go for LEED certification on buildings and things like that, that's a totally different beast.
yeah, no, I understand, I didn't know, like, when I see like an eco certified vehicle and it's a big SUV, but it's got the eco certification because it can
Yeah.
use 15% ethanol instead of just 10 or something, I'm like,
Yeah,
well, that's kind of a,
Or like with golf
misleading.
carts, we're getting the rebates of an electric car.
yeah, stuff like that, I just wanted to make sure that it was legit.
It might not fit in here, it might be the earlier one, but, the capital improvement plan should include the necessary panel upgrades to support all this stuff. Right, I don't know if that's something too specific, but we're running into that a lot.
I mean, yeah, I think. It might be too specific and,
'Cause it's not, you're not gonna get the thing, you're gonna have to pay some money before you get the thing,
right,
so
right.
it should be in the plan. But maybe it's too specific for
I also think that, the electricity here has, like. Contractors have looked at it, and it's got plenty of power right now. But yeah, it's definitely, you know. But I sort of think that's a given, that,
Okay,
you know,
I think the intent of this plan in itself is to give guidance in
Yeah.
many ways,
mhm,
without getting into the nitty gritty of how you would do something, whether it's lighting or high back or, and cite the, the certifications or the legislation that that dictates it, but not how we would go about doing something.
Yeah,
okay,
All right. So this is.
Before we move on, I think I lost the thread of conversation. What was the decision around? Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. Did you change the slide?
what's that,
I think.
was it previous
this
slide?
one?
Yeah,
Yeah. The phase out of fossil fuels, where did we end up with that?
We're-
we put it in.
It's in there.
It's it's been
Not-
typed in.
yeah.
In the actual document. And this is basically the same thing for the
Yeah,
benefit of
it's
the
just for
schools.
the school,
Which kind of follows along with the previous one we had about schools where we're,
mhm,
the energy planner. Will assist, will give guidance, will
mhm.
gently coerce,
Mhm.
I can't wait until my kids start school so I can get into the politics of CBSD. I'm sure that's gonna be so much fun.
So, are you all okay with this one, or?
Was the same language added in?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
um. This is a revolving loan fund. And, there was a note that, delete a portion of those, so. And savings will be returned to the funds to
That was
support,
my comment.
yeah,
So instead of saying, oh, a department that benefits could keep some of the money rolls back to refund, to fund the fund, yeah.
Mhm.
um,
So Reed, I think I'm trying to think back to how South Burlington does theirs. Like, I think I don't know. That gets
I
into
think
that's the implementation detail, right? Because I feel like maybe it's all of it, but for like a certain amount of time. Like, I don't know, like 10 years, all of the savings go back into the fund or until it's paid off, plus a certain number of years. But then beyond that, like I'm just cautious about putting implementation details into the statement here.
Especially if we're gonna have NREL or whatever, do some of the,
right,
tell us how to do things.
yeah, I mean, I think that. You shouldn't be getting too specific with the language in this plan, because you don't want it to.
Yeah.
Restrict what you end up doing, I mean, you're gonna, this is guidance, and then you're gonna implement that.
Yeah.
And it may be,
So is leaving the word portion in okay, or?
how about you could put, and. All or a portion of those savings or something like that, or
you could just leave it.
we just leave it, I mean,
Implemented projects,
could be 100%
and
of the
that's,
savings.
Right.
Could we just say that the fund will track energy savings from implemented projects and will be repaid via the savings achieved in those projects? And then that gives us all the flexibility in terms of how that actually works out.
So how is that different from what's here? This,
Oh, maybe it's not.
No, I agree with Kevin. I think because it shows the benefit of this is that you're actually, by doing the switch over, you're saving money and you're gonna put that in the bank. So saying it the way Kevin said it, better than the way I said it, is.
so how are we saying this? Go ahead, repeat what you just said.
Well, that's I think the fund will track energy savings from implemented projects And loans will be repaid using the energy savings of those projects. I don't know if that's exactly what I said before. I think it's close.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that's being too specific, because
specific.
what if the town doesn't get a loan to fund the projects? Like, what if it gets grants?
Mm,
Sure.
I mean, I think, in whatever program gets designed, you're gonna have like a payoff period, right? So the savings will go to pay off that piece of equipment, but then after that,
Yep.
they will go towards future projects. I mean, that's kind of the point. Right?
You're right, Melinda. It already says it. Yeah,
Okay.
in my opinion. So, okay. Kevin made it sound better, but it's the same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Are we in agreement to move on?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, engage and support the efforts of businesses, utilities, and energy vendors to periodically assess the efficiency level of businesses' thermal building envelopes, lighting, HVAC, and other equipment, and replace as necessary and feasible. This assessment should include an analysis of both energy savings and cost over time for conversion of the heating system to cold climate or thermal heat pumps.
See above, okay, so, sorry about the design of this survey, obviously it didn't really capture the comments.
But it still has been very helpful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because I'm looking at my notes,
Yeah.
okay, so.
I mean, the only thing I would throw out there is,
Oh, yeah.
do we wanna sort of be more vague about the underlying technology that we wanna target?
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, I
electric
know.
boilers, hydrogen might be a thing in 20 years, you know, like.
Like that last line you
For
mean, just
conversion.
saying, I know, I got that
You
too.
you could say fossil fuel free or something like that, but I don't know, I would just. Wouldn't wanna be too specific.
Um, for conversion of the heating system to, carbon-free or
Yeah.
fossil fuel-free,
Fossil fuel free.
fossil fuel-free
I don't know.
systems.
I think that's good because it was on, VPERG sponsored
Mhm.
legislative update today. And for the first time, there is a thermal energy study going on to promote geothermal over air heat pumps. Saying that they're better. So now all of a sudden, we're pushing, heat,
Right,
air heat pumps. And all of a sudden the technology is already changing right in front of us.
Mhm.
And so we've got them both in here, but like you say, the next one's gonna leapfrog it again, so.
Yeah, and you don't know what it's gonna be.
You don't know
so
what it'll
it's-
be.
Yeah,
Kim, sorry. Kim's got her hand up.
Kim?
I would just like to encourage you to use carbon free. That at the state level, fossil fuel companies are wiggling around no fossil fuel and saying, oh, but we can still use renewable natural gas, we can still use, which is still 97% methane. We can still use biomass, which I know you kind of struggle a bit understanding biomass, but you really don't want to encourage wood as a fuel. It's the least efficient, most toxic to humans. The American Lung Association now says that wood has replaced coal in causing mortality events in US communities. Vermont ranks number 5 in the whole nation for asthma. Burning of wood is hugely contributing to exacerbation of asthma and may in some cases cause it. So you want to focus on systems that don't release any kind of greenhouse gas.
Mhm.
Yeah, so maybe say greenhouse gas emission free. Or instead
Carbon
of,
free.
instead of
Yeah,
carbon.
I mean, carbon free.
I doubt this is gonna that people will get into the minutia this much, but you can argue hydro is not carbon free. You can argue a lot of things are not carbon free that are indeed things that we want to support actively.
Yeah.
That said,
Mm.
for this level and this audience, it's probably okay. I just know people love to get on Hydro-Quebec and how not renewable and how carbon, it is carbon emitting because of the damage it does to blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But
Zero.
aside from that 1% of people, I think it's carbon free is probably fair.
Well,
Like
this is
anything,
analysis.
any terminology can be wiggled around,
Yeah.
right? Just like renewable methane or.
Mhm.
So Eric, what was your wording? Cause I like that. You know,
I thought I
it's like-
said fossil fuel, but
Fossil
there, it
fuels
does give
free.
you the wiggle room to go with the biomass and renewable stuff, so,
Mhm.
you know.
Zero emission systems, I don't know, carbon, whatever.
Or can we just be even more vague and just say an appropriate heating system?
Mm.
Appropriate climate friendly.
Yeah.
Climate and human health friendly? So get if we're.
Yeah,
Mm.
friendly seems a little light though.
Well, cause the point about wood is that. You can have carbon neutral versions of wood heating,
Right.
but it's still not the greatest for human health by any chance, or by any means. Again, depending on the technology, but
That's not what this was talking about, though.
Yeah.
We're talking about businesses similar to the ones we had before for the town.
Yeah.
Talking about lighting, buyback, and replace as necessary and feasible.
Yeah.
Right, so
Suspension
like,
include analysis of both energy savings and costs over time for conversion of the heating system to. It's the last phrase you want.
and so like CVU's backup heating system is wood chips, right? So
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing we want them to get away from, right? I mean, obviously you're not a business, but I don't know if there's any wood chip users in Williston, their business.
Chapin?
Hi,
Mhm.
I apologize because I'm not gonna be able to stay on, but I thought I would say something here in case it helps to have one other opinion in the air, which is at the individual home level, I think there is a place for wood as a backup heat system to help people transition faster to better forms of primary heat. But that's in rural areas and limited in private homes. In the business area you're talking about here, I agree with what Kim Marcy said, which is saying carbon free is the best language for what the current situation is. And I also was going to go ahead and weigh in on Hydro-Quebec, which to me is the carbon damage has already been done where it's already flooded. And I just would hate to support new flooding, but existing hydro is in a different category to me than new hydro. And that may be a fine line to draw, but in terms of the environment, it is a very specific line to draw because the carbon damage is already done when you flood in the trees. So I don't know if that helps. I also think carbon free is very important because I worry about things like renewable natural gas being considered as good, and renewable natural gas may have a place, but it's not a carbon free product, and it's not a very pure product, et cetera, et cetera. To me, there's a danger in allowing something like that to be considered where we want to go.
Well, and I mean, there's no harm in saying carbon free essentially, because that's just what we're supporting. They can choose alternate things too that may be considered sustainable in some places, but we just, I guess, can take a stance that we will only actively support carbon free.
Carbon free seems fine,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that should be the,
It's not like we're banning wood stoves, we're just saying we're going to actively support carbon free. You know, or we'll actively support CVSD to look at something other than their wood chip backup generators.
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
okay, good,
right.
thank you. All right. All right. Leverage existing funding programs to perform energy audit on town residences that have not been previously audited and to weatherize these residences. Put the town on track to achieve the intended goal of 90% of Williston homes weatherized by 2050. And it goes on to speak about numbers of homes that were built before the residential building code was adopted. Intention is to weatherize these where the energy savings will be greatest first. Audit should include life cycle cost analysis of various energy saving measures and renewable energy options.
on the purple one.
Okay, yeah. So one thing about this is that we don't know who's gotten energy audits. Efficiency Vermont won't tell us. So,
That was a question I had in my head, I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, how are we gonna know?
yeah,
Yeah.
so
BGS is on
it's a great idea,
Mhm.
but I mean. And you can always like just put, sort of generally encourage households to get audits and maybe, come up with some incentives or whatever. I mean, there are incentives already, but there's no way to really track it. I mean, Efficiency Vermont will give you numbers of how many households have had audits.
But they won't
They
tell
won't
you
tell you
whether
who-
my house was done or
No.
not.
No.
Yeah,
No,
Necessarily will tell you the results.
right,
So we can get to the percent of home, we can figure out how many have been, we just don't know which, okay.
right.
So the actual goal is fine, the
Mm.
rest of it is kind of,
Yeah, I mean, you can target outreach towards older homes. Realizing that some may have already, you may be hitting people that have already done stuff.
So
Um,
one thing we've done for other energy committees is we can look at usage relative to square footage
mhm,
within the natural gas pipeline, right? Well, we know usage.
Oh, yeah, and you can tell the really inefficient
The
houses.
bad
like
ones stand
they-
out real fast.
mhm.
Yeah,
But
or the people who keep their houses at 80 degrees.
we need the square footage from the lister
Yeah,
in a
We can
readable
get that.
format that matches up with
Address.
premise ID matches with
yeah.
right,
address. So it's,
mhm,
once you get multi-family places, things fall apart, but
yeah,
it's a good first pass.
yeah,
So
yeah,
if we can get that,
Makes sense.
we can do that.
So mine was the strike the second sentence, it's more nuanced than that, what I was trying to get at there was that. You know, that's like a good chunk of the houses, so to prioritize 2/3 or whatever, I did the math at some point, like, that seems a little. I thought we could strike the sentence and just say, the intention is to weatherize the
mhm,
oldest and least efficient homes where the Senate savings will be greatest first,
mhm, yeah,
just
Yeah.
for
which fits in
brevity.
with what you just said.
And, yeah,
I mean, the only
But
thing is
also,
that
we don't need to say how many houses.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
if you really
that's
wanna
gonna
engage,
change, too.
it will, yeah.
mhm,
if you really wanna engage homeowners, people that are off the natural gas line are much more motivated to go through with these
Right.
things.
Oh,
right?
100%.
Right,
You know,
right.
those people in the
Yeah.
trailer parks would be super psyched to be,
mhm.
you know, walked through this process. Your conversion rate starts to fall off when you run that cheap gas paradox, right? So
Yeah, believe me.
Just what I said
Yeah.
last time.
Yes, because if you live in anywhere else but Chittenden County, you know, everybody wants to get better at what they're
Right.
doing, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's, look at the, drive around rural Vermont and see the heat pumps that have been installed in the
yeah.
last 5 years.
And interestingly enough, so I work in the middle for the electric grid in the middle, and they're doing a future energy study right now, and their projections for electrification, they're primarily looking at like EVs. No one's electrifying heat there, even though I'm talking about the Dakotas, Iowa, all those different areas too, not just the
Right.
southern part.
Cheap gas.
And it's because it's super cheap gas. And so the people who are gonna be motivated, and this is me too, until my furnace dies. I can't, and I'm not gonna convince, I already put a solar array on my house and my husband's like, that barely made economic sense for us. It does in the long run, but it's hard to convince
5 years.
people. Yeah, exactly.
Well, more of that later, but Act 18, if it goes through as drafted, will raise the cost of natural gas and encourage people to do those things, so, might be a couple of years away.
And my water heater has at most 2 years left, and my furnace has at most 4 to 5, so.
Great. How does this language sound?
Okay, basically to drop the second sentence. The intention is to weatherize the oldest and least efficient homes where the energy savings will be the greatest first. Audit should include a life cycle analysis of various energy saving measures and renewable energy options.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
Yeah.
suggest.
Something like that. I mean, I can wordsmith it better than that.
You know,
No,
this
but
last sentence, energy saving measures and renewable energy output actually fits better. One, just like it fits up with the commercial one. Possibly than what we put in carbon free.
Various energy saving measures and renewable energy options, maybe carbon-free energy options. Cause I thought the whole point was renewable was not,
Didn't get what we
Yeah.
were trying to get to. Yeah,
We should be consistent.
yeah. Kim. Kim,
Kim,
Maybe you're going this way and just making it carbon free, but that's what I would recommend. Renewable is a very mushy word that can sometimes cover things that are anything but what you want.
yeah.
yeah. My God, I don't know what's going on with this. It's,
you want to do undo?
It's on my phone.
yeah, I don't really know what's going on, but
Weird.
stop. Ah,
Correctable,
I don't know what's going
Well,
on
it's
there.
getting worse.
yes. Good old spell check.
I give up. I'll fix it.
All right.
Don't worry about it. All right.
All right, leverage funding programs to incorporate air source, cold climate heat pumps or other fossil fuel-free devices in at least 90% of residents by 2050, including a collaboration with utility companies.
This was the other one where I thought it was too specific technology, but
Home programs with utilities.
Take out the cold climate heat pumps thing.
yeah, well, it's air sourced, but
Yeah.
you could. I would just say fossil free devices.
Mhm.
right?
To
Or
incorporate
carbon free, if that's what we're going with.
carbon-free
Good luck.
devices. Um, I don't know, it's like, if I try to change it, it's gonna do all that monkey business, so I think you'll have to trust me that
We will.
we have a recording, I'll fix it. So leverage funding programs and this is a little weird, including a collaboration with utility companies. Leverage funding programs and leverage funding programs and collaborate with utility companies to incorporate air source or to incorporate carbon-free
Heating devices.
heating devices and at least 90% of residents.
So put the collaboration up higher, is that what you're saying?
Well, somebody made leverage funding programs and partnerships with utility
I think
companies.
that was
like
mine.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Okay. Everybody Chapin.
Chapin?
I'm assuming that that sentence was there about collaborating with utility companies because often they manage things just like Green Mountain Power's project to get heat, power walls in people's homes and stuff. So I'm assuming that's the reason for the collaboration. Does that make, so it just to be clear that the collaboration is to further the cause by engaging with the utilities. And of course, like Vermont Gas is doing with heaters, hot water heaters.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that would be the intent, at least in my
Yeah,
mind.
also, we stated earlier that Efficiency Vermont is considered a utility. I don't know if we
Yeah.
say that- I don't know where we say that and make it clear to the readers, but
Mhm.
most
We
people
have,
wouldn't
we
think
have
that.
yeah, there's a glossary at the end of this,
Mhm.
because it is terminology here, but you can also put in things like Efficiency Vermont, a state utility for the purpose
Yeah.
of energy savings, and whatever their proper definition is. So if somebody ever questions it, there is a page of glossary at the end.
Mhm.
But they might not get there, but yeah, so.
It's the best we can do.
Mhm. Okay,
Okay, yeah.
you good?
Yes.
Even though it doesn't look any different.
No, it's all right. On an annual basis, monitor building system performance, building commissioning of municipal. I don't understand this.
It's in the energy.
Isn't it, the idea is to sort of look at, the thermostats and the control
Oh,
systems to
oh,
make
oh.
sure they're doing what
Yeah.
they're supposed to
So,
be
so,
doing.
That's the idea.
I see we have other comments too.
All the
By just lifting, because we've done so much of similar about the high vac and everything, do you just add the word controls to some of those above? And it just, it consolidates the two statements?
I mean, this is, let me look at some of these. You mean like, periodically assess the efficiency levels. I mean, it's
Businesses, the envelopes,
kind
lighting,
of,
including controls, and it would, I think this is where I thought, is
Yeah.
that really the same? Just, this added a whole statement just dealing with controls and automation.
It seems
This
like,
is for the municipal buildings.
Right, so we had a municipal one way up above,
right.
and then we have an industrial one coming up, and then we'll have a home one coming, and then
Yeah.
is it really just take that piece about controls and automation and put it up with the others?
it seems like
Mhm.
this is more, was this in the previous plan?
Yes.
Yeah,
It seems like maybe the intent was to sort of create something for the town to have to do, right? Go check on their controls to make sure they're not being inefficient at the different buildings. You know, rather than something that we would do collaboratively with people in the community.
right.
Yeah, I see.
Definitely.
So I don't know
Okay,
if it had that intent or not, but I mean, that might,
It's definitely municipal buildings.
yeah.
Yeah.
yes, yes.
right.
What's the parentheses building commissioning?
I don't really.
Yeah.
I mean, if you did a new building to make sure the controls are set up to be
Oh,
efficient, you know, I mean, if it was
I'd
a
like to
hybrid
say
setup,
new
you want it to,
Mm.
right, like,
I mean, I would agree with you that this is a little redundant, and could be just consolidated with, the bullets above. But
I mean, if we're not doing it now,
that,
You know.
right.
I wouldn't keep at it.
Mm. Thoughts?
And it's pointing out that this is in addition to the routine maintenance. Like, that's what
Well,
commissioning is, technically, is like actually assessing things, not just maintaining them, like reassessing.
I mean, I feel like it really does say almost the same thing as,
Yeah,
up here.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You could
Just
just
add
put
controls.
in the statement
And
about
add
the
controls.
controls
yeah.
yeah,
into here
Mm,
right.
and
after
have
the-
it be all encompassing.
Yeah,
yeah,
and then strike the whole thing,
yeah. Okay,
yeah.
okay. So we're gonna strike this
but this just says to do it annually.
again.
Yeah,
I think too specific, like,
Yeah,
yeah.
You can
It's
start
fine.
with it, just monitor building system performance. Not annually, but monitor it, so,
Mhm,
along with the ones up above.
mhm.
I think it's fine, just add controls and automation.
Yeah.
Above and strike this.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay, and then, again, this is the same thing,
yeah. Supporting school
we can probably do the same with this.
Yeah.
yeah.
Everybody
Yeah,
okay with that? Okay, this is the thing about procurement, process. And then justifying when this cannot be done, and I did add that to the language, and a deadline, and I put, oh, you mean for transitioning to a paperless system? I assume a deadline for doing that, and I don't know, I threw out a deadline 2030. I kind of doubt that that's gonna happen by 2030, but, yeah. Here, I'll show, here's the language for this. Yeah, there we go.
Town will transition to a paperless system for internal proceedings and town services permitting by 2030.
are they using paper permits?
Yeah,
There's a lot of.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of paper used.
and some of it is required by state statute currently, so. Unfortunately,
And like the water bills and everything, that's all
That's
another
all.
company or something does that,
yeah.
right?
Mhm. Yeah, so I don't know, what the select board's gonna think about that, but
No, put them on the spot.
put it in there,
Yeah,
you know. Anything else?
Do we, this is limiting the procurement of, it seems like just, like, do we want it to be broader in scope or like to include the procurement of lawn equipment for the town and other things? It seems like it's mostly like office related, right?
Certified energy, certified
Well, I guess
appliances, heating
this is the
equipment.
building.
We could just
section.
add,
This is,
oh,
Yeah,
it's
it's
the
not
building,
transportation.
Yeah.
right?
okay,
You could add a bullet in the transportation section about procuring, vehicles. I think I think there
We
is,
did- we
Yeah,
did
there is-
something.
there
We
is
had this
something.
discussion.
there is
Yeah.
something in there, so.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Okay,
Mhm.
okay. And then again, this is similar. I'm not sure about putting like a deadline for the school because
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
like it's gonna be meaningless.
Yeah.
But, I don't even, yeah, it's like, how comfortable do you feel even with this language and vis-a-vis the schools?
I would almost drop everything starting with the purchase of recycled paper materials and come up with something else.
Yeah. Because they're never gonna probably transition from paper. It's like the kids have to like,
Yeah.
draw and write and all that other stuff. Um,
Paperless systems where possible.
mm,
Yeah.
okay. Good, good. Business signage and parking as well as municipal street lighting should be upgraded with most efficient lighting solutions, and lighting standards shall set stricter standards on overnight sign lighting. And I guess what I would say for this is that everybody's gonna have to transition to LEDs because you can't even buy them anymore. I mean, you can't buy non-LED lights anymore. So that's just gonna happen
Taking care
out
of
of
itself.
necessity. And
Yeah.
this overnight sign lighting, I mean, there's pretty strict standards about lighting. And right now the bylaw requires that lighting be turned on half hour before business opens and be shut down half hour after it closes. And the only exception to that is motion detected lighting, so. That goes for signs as well.
They all abide by that?
We don't know. I mean, that's the thing, it's like,
I mean,
we
I
have the
never
standards,
noticed,
It's the
like,
best kind of rule.
we have the standards, but
Yeah.
how are we gonna
Composting law.
enforce?
Yeah.
What?
I always use the composting law as like the mother of all unenforceable laws.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that it exists, and it's good that we have standards, even if we can't enforce them, because it will change behavior to an extent, right?
Yeah.
But to your point, we probably don't have any idea of how many people actually are turning their signs off.
Right. There's a lot of stores that have signs that are lit up that say closed. That are lit up all night.
There's also, I mean, there are also safety concerns too with it, but that was my only thought is like, what It's particularly dark in Williston, which I appreciate, but it also there are some safety concerns and I'm wondering.
I just, like, if we're gonna try to streamline the thing, I'd just get rid of this.
Yeah,
You know, if LEDs are already coming and electricity is pretty carbon free anyway, like, why are we even
just get
having
rid
this
of
in the
it.
plan?
Hmm.
Make it that much shorter. Maybe someone will read a little further.
Mhm.
So drop the whole statement.
That's my 2 cents, I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah,
So hasn't the street lights already, those have already been converted to LED, but
But can you enforce privately owned
well, yeah, that's.
streetlights to be changed? We could, that was the trouble we had in Essex, when we
Mhm.
went to LEDs with GMP for the whole town.
Mhm.
But people had big sodium vapor ones sitting in their parking lots that were privately owned, we couldn't touch them. And I don't know if that's still true or not, you can encourage them, but you couldn't force
Yeah.
them.
I don't think so,
Maybe not without
Kim's
the
gonna-
ordinance change, right?
Yeah, yeah.
hmm.
Kimberly O'Connell.
Do you want me to chime in?
Yes, please.
Lighting that is appropriately angled down is actually safer than big glary big lights, and
Yes.
it's cutting your light pollution, and motion sensor is actually the best. I know that doesn't work for big commercial parking lots, but there's a lot of research now on light pollution impacting whole ecosystems very negatively. And not to mention the dark sky for the astronomers, and
Mhm.
most of us love the Vermont sky, and it's pretty rare. So I mean, I don't know what the regulations are in terms of what's already there, but you certainly want to encourage future lighting to be sensitive to those things, and it can still be, it's actually safer than big glary lights, but it's better for the ecosystems.
Yeah,
Is that in the code?
the current standards are very stringent with regards to lights. We only allow downward facing fully shielded lights. So I think, yeah, and again, like, we don't allow lights to be on after, more than a half hour after a business is closed. And so I really think that, I think it's there. I don't think you need this, because as far as LEDs go, it's like, it's just gonna happen because people won't have a choice, so. Well, all good? Yeah. Okay. Oh, one that everybody agrees on. Hallelujah, okay? Great.
Adopt an ordinance that requires all new commercial and multi-unit development to heat with carbon-free sources.
Pause on this to see how Act 18 Clean Heat plays out. Do we have authority to do this in light of state
That
regulations?
was me.
Other towns have done
A few, yeah.
it, it just doesn't line up, what they've done doesn't necessarily line up with what's coming out with Act 18, so.
Yeah.
But if this end goal is 2050,
Mhm.
Act 18 should shake out in a couple of years. And
I mean, I was just reading about this earlier, I think. Yeah. Kim.
So this would be so exciting if you would consider this, because it makes everything more affordable as well. I mean, think about what you all have been discussing about your own homes and how difficult it is to get off the gas furnace. And that's what the bulk of our new housing is putting in, is methane leaking gas, 80 times more polluting than carbon dioxide in the first 20 years of release. I mean, it's like we're in a crisis. And if you can get this in, then you become that much more attractive to the right kind of people who want to be in a home where they're fighting climate change, not contributing to it. And it's new construction. There's almost no excuse not to ask for this.
I agree.
Yeah, at the very least, you should bring it up to the select board because you gotta start from somewhere, right?
Yeah,
Um,
And this has potential to have the largest impact, I think.
Well, it's for new commercial, not like if you redevelop it, it doesn't include that. That's unfortunate.
yeah, that's a trickier,
There are a lot of new buildings planned for Williston now.
Mhm. Well, this was this is already in here, right?
Yes,
So
it is.
I don't think anyone's in favor of taking it out, right? It's a matter of getting it done, right?
Yeah.
okay. All right. And then this is one that was proposed by Sustainable Williston. That added in here. It was not in the previous energy plan. So let's see. Somebody asked about feasibility. Well, it's sort of, yeah, I mean, we don't know whether it's feasible. And so this is a bullet to evaluate potential feasibility, costs and benefits of geothermal energy network.
yeah, the village is actually not a bad candidate, because it's got a mixed use
But
sort of thing going on, which is apparently better for geothermal.
Residents and co-uses that at different times.
Yeah, and like different cycles,
So it really is a feasibility study,
yeah.
which
Yeah.
is fine to put this in. It's a good idea. I think I had put something on the other that probably didn't come through because
Mm,
unless there's another one about electrical resiliency too, because that
that
it's, it
underneath.
is underneath,
Yeah.
okay,
uh-huh.
okay.
Kim?
Kim?
So geothermal networks not only use ground source heat pumps and connect multiple buildings, but they use heat sharing. So you're looping wastewater heat, you know how we flush a lot of water down the toilet, shower, sink? That is captured as well and shared among buildings. And in some of the most exciting geothermal networks, you have things like a grocery store that produces huge amount of heat from the freezer units, sharing that with the school next door. So this is there's a bill that we are very hopeful will pass this year that would enable municipalities, doesn't require it, just enables municipalities to put these in the same way you put in water and sewer. And that makes it much more affordable because it doesn't have to go through the PUC. And it's handled the same way as water and sewer systems, which are very well handled. You know, people understand them. You do a bond, it protects everybody and everybody benefits. So this kind of geothermal network is a step way beyond just simple ground source heat pumps. And I would love to do an education night on this. I have very, very good friends who are working on that bill and are happy to come talk to a group of people in the community about how this works and why it's so exciting. It's going in. New York State is very cutting edge on this. These systems are in Canada. They're very, very cold weather appropriate, and they are just using that heat for the ground source heat pump, you know, at like 5 feet underground where it's 55 degrees. But it's very, very exciting stuff.
Mhm.
I like it. I think it does have a lot of explanation, which is good for us right now to see, but I don't think it needs to be in the plan, the explanation of what the
is-
geothermal
Yeah,
technology is,
Yeah.
like take out the second sentence, but maybe leave in the one about networking the town buildings such as police station.
Uh-huh, okay,
I don't know, that would
Yeah.
simplify it a lot. You know, we don't need the explanation part.
It'd be like if we put an explanation of heat pumps every time we might mention
Yeah.
air
Yeah.
heat pumps.
Yeah.
agreed.
It's almost
So
like
just
it's
keep the
something
first
else.
sentence and then maybe the.
Jump down to
the third one.
the system, yeah.
uh-huh,
Or just studies, you know,
yeah,
multiple studies around Williston.
yeah. Okay,
St. George is the best one there, actually,
yeah,
the trailer park in the community.
okay,
So we could do some word crafting here.
yeah. I mean, I don't even know necessarily that you need to. I think you could leave it as. Evaluate potential feasibility, costs and benefits of geothermal energy network in Village and Taft Corners. System, ideally can be networked among multiple adjacent buildings, police station, town hall, land, et cetera,
You could
That's-
drop the next sentence.
yeah,
And drop the with the creation of any new buildings.
I mean, you could just mention that. I mean, it already says Taft Corners, yeah, I don't know that we need all the explanation.
Right.
this week. Yeah. Okay, I can.
But we won't lose
grab that.
the original suggestion. It'll be in our
Yeah,
background material.
yep. Okay. And then finally, some other suggestions. Was it you Reed, that
Yes.
mentioned electrical resilience?
Yes, so we did an article on GMP's O'Brien, our development and their willingness to work with towns on electrical resilience and storage. And I think, if you're thinking about how you're gonna study geothermal and you study electrical resistance, you could really make your, whatever, maybe your village center very protected here with these technologies.
Yeah.
So. Work with, utilities work with utilities on. Developing,
Similar to above,
Electrical
develop a
resiliency.
feasibility, whatever we have in the one above, how we led in with that.
evaluate the feasibility
Ability
of what?
of
Actually, maybe that's something you can work on
okay,
and,
Can I just ask what you mean by electrical resilience?
this is a combination of electrical storage, solar, regular input of electricity from the utility companies, so that when things go down,
Yeah,
you don't lose all your power.
okay.
And so the O'Brien development in South Burlington is an example of that, where it becomes self-sufficient or more resilient against disasters.
Okay.
because you have backup
Trying to figure,
battery storage.
This is GMP's big pitch.
Yeah,
Rather than
Right,
doing billions in storm restoration or.
Right.
battery.
did they call it electric resilience?
yeah, that's the term they're using.
Okay. Cause I know that generally it's called energy resilience, but if we're talking about electricity in particular. I've just had never heard that term before.
Well,
I've
maybe
always
it-
heard
yeah,
energy
yeah,
resilience,
yeah.
but that
Mhm,
more broadly.
right.
I'll do that tomorrow morning.
And then finally, a suggestion to add a bullet on, adopting a bylaw requiring solar on rooftops of all new buildings, and that, we cannot require solar. I mean, South Burlington, I know they have in their bylaws basically a requirement of, for solar on all new buildings, but the way they're getting around, the PUC, the limitation, because the PUC regulates solar, that's connected to the grid.
Right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
South Burlington says, you have to have solar on the rooftops of all new buildings. We're not requiring you to connect those to the grid. So it's sort of, I don't know. It's interesting,
Yeah, I mean, what other choice could they have, right?
right, so, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how, if that gets challenged. And see what the outcome of that is, but. And then, yeah, so I don't know, so you could add something in there. Whose suggestion was that?
That last one's mine.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm trying to remember, what was the one just above that we had a requirement for, oh, I guess
For,
we're requiring,
carbon
yeah,
free heating systems.
right, because it's not solar, so it's not, like you said, the PUC
Mhm.
regulates it, okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to doing what South Burlington did.
And
I mean,
I'm not sure if that was a bylaw or if that's an ordinance. I'll have to check and see.
I guess I don't understand the difference.
An ordinance is a rule that's adopted by the select board. It's not, part of your zoning, it's just a regulation that, and the difference.
on bylaws, zoning.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different process of adoption. And, an ordinance just takes effect and there's no like non-conformities, it's like everybody's got to adhere. Versus the bylaw, there's allowances for existing non-conformities. Those are some of the differences, yeah.
Well, we had talked about getting around this using the point system, what is that, like, development gets more priority. Like, we give them
Incentives, yeah, right.
we give them a carrot rather than.
Yeah.
But there's so much stuff in that already, it's hard to imagine we could give them enough of a carrot to get
Yeah,
them to either do solar or to like do like carbon free, right? Cause I mean, it would be great to be able to give people carrots, but like
Mhm.
with that point system, carrots are pretty small by the time like we do everything else, we ask them to do everything else.
That's why we
right?
need bigger sticks then.
Bigger sticks, yeah, bigger sticks, bylaws.
Say,
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, okay, so I can draft something for that.
Because for both of these, like we can propose it and then,
Right,
the developers can tell the select board why it's a bad idea, I mean, there should be some debate about it, but
Yeah.
I think there's nothing wrong with proposing it.
Yeah.
In our plan.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and then requiring tree plantings around all new buildings, I mean, I guess I would say that the landscaping standards are already pretty
Mhm.
stringent. They require landscape buffers around all of the property lines. Some of those are trees, I mean, there's different options for landscape buffers, it can be a mixture of trees and shrubs, it can be like a dense hedge, it can be formal plantings, and then street trees are almost always required along Let's read for energy for new developments. Okay.
Okay, it is 3 minutes of 8.
Oh my gosh.
The next sections will go quickly if anybody can stay. Because the
Yeah.
education pieces, I don't think,
Yeah, I can.
I've got a feeling they
There's a
didn't.
lot of agreement.
Yeah,
Most
yeah,
of them,
yeah,
there was
yeah.
100% agreement, so there might not be much to talk about.
But we do have some other items we do need to hit.
Mhm.
All right, so you wanna
Flip through.
flip through, see how we're doing.
All right, so this
Right.
was 100%.
Most of this has to do with the public outreach things we as a committee do.
Right,
You
Yeah.
know, all the
Public
events we go
events.
to, all the things we're doing.
okay,
Yeah. Poor kids. This is weird. I mean, are we getting out of the wood business?
oh, yeah, interesting, that everybody agreed on this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, before we decided.
Cordwood and wood pellet selection, storage and combustion should not the most efficient clearing.
If somebody's burning,
I mean, to Chapin's point earlier, the power thing is not a bad option if you're out in the sticks.
yes,
Well, and that's the thing, so the reason I agreed with this was because there are some people who currently don't have another option.
Yeah.
right.
And so if they can at least do something that's more efficient, less harmful to human health, then yeah, we should probably, that's good to educate them.
It's a,
Doesn't mean we
it's a
can't-
transition,
Yeah.
but it's better than not doing anything.
And this is to also to educate them on how to buy proper wood so that it will burn cleanly. I mean, you know, we've all driven through the countryside and seen the smoke spewing out of people's stoves that obviously it's not well seasoned or,
Right.
so this is to help fix that too, I guess.
This one was more controversial. One person wants to strike it. Promote wood stove change-out programs to take older non-EPA certified stoves out of service and replace them with more efficient, lower emitting cordwood and pellet stoves.
Does this really go with the one above? Is there any that much difference?
Hmm,
Promoting it?
No, not really.
No, you could actually. Because if you're promoting a educational campaign about wood and efficiency and more, then does this one say anything different?
it's just more specific,
Yes.
yeah. Seems better.
Seems like they can be combined now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Kimberly has her hand
Good.
raised.
Kim?
So I want you guys to be aware, your Attorney General is suing the EPA because the measure of even the most current wood burning stove, their testing of those is so bad.
Hmm.
And so I just want to caution you not to be promoting something. I understand some people, this is all they have, or maybe this is a backup that they only use if the power's out. But also the medical science keeps advancing on PM 2.5. Does everybody know what that is?
Yes.
Okay, so
It's very bad
there
for you.
is no amount of that that is considered healthy by medical science. And it's now not only involved in causing cancer, in exacerbating and possibly causing asthma, exacerbating COPD, and a whole host of other health issues, but it's now been directly connected to dementia and mood disorders. And there is what the EPA allows is very different than what medical science allows. The EPA is still allowing way more than medical science. And I can even send you the link to the Harvard Public School panel that happened just last week, where medical scientists were involved in trying to get the EPA to lower those, lower the amount allowed. And the politics, you know, the medical people wanted 4. The EPA currently allows 12, and it's going to go to 9. You know, medical science wants way less than what the EPA allows. So this is just such a difficult product.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and if you can pop the link in the chat, that would be great.
I'm not sure I can come up with it that quickly, but I can send it to you tomorrow if you guys want to watch the public health. It's on their YouTube, and it's a very striking discussion. It's about an hour. Yeah, it's pellets are slightly better than cordwood, and drywood is slightly better than greenwood, but you are still producing such tremendous amounts of toxic, and PM 2.5 is only one of the 5 critical air pollutants that wood releases more of than any other fuel we burn. And just to make it really personal, with a family member who was a critical care pulmonary doctor, his and all of his colleagues' patients did much worse in winter with asthma or COPD. They come in and they go, "Doc, why am I worse?" And they would have to ask them, "Is your neighbor burning wood?"
So what do you want to do?
But I don't think we're still not at the point where we're gonna eliminate all wood, and this is just. I know it's asking to just replace a bad thing with a little bit better thing. Yeah, we see your point, but I don't know, do we want
Well,
to?
is it worth
Do we
the
wanna
time of the committee to even have this? I mean, if there's only a marginal difference between one and the other, then should we be spending our time educating people on that they should change them out? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
I mean, maybe we just don't get involved.
What's the other option? Just take both of the wood ones out.
I'd be fine with it. We have so many things in this section anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I am fine with eliminating them.
Kevin Thorley. He's still
Yeah, I'm largely good with that. I've also seen some there's some pretty bad old wood stoves out there, whether or not the EPA levels are right. I don't know. I guess we can take it out. I don't think it's yeah, we can take it out.
Yeah.
Okay. These last couple of you are about workshops, facilitating workshop, building walkthroughs by Efficiency Vermont for owners and tenants of rental housing. And then one person had something else to suggest for this.
Not high.
That's historically the toughest population to engage at the tenants,
Mhm.
you know, because they don't have any control. What they pay for and stuff.
There's no point, there's no harm in having this in here to try it, if we could.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, especially if Efficiency Vermont has like a spiel they do,
right.
you know, to engage owners, and tenants.
Right.
And we've tried for years.
Mhm.
I mean, yes, it's hard.
Mm.
It's only the Burlington has an ordinance, they're sort of forcing landlords to upgrade. That's the only thing that's really driven any change.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this is just workshops and building walkthroughs for commercial industrial businesses. Any thoughts on that?
The big question is that while they're useful, are they realistic? Because these are really things like the committee is doing. Are these realistic for us to try as a group to try and do?
Mhm.
Do we want them in the plan? Do we want them in the plan to say they're useful endeavors? Both of these.
I mean, the residential tenant one, maybe. The thing about this one is that, like, if you're a commercial business, you kind of need an audit, and you probably need to engage with like a professional,
Mhm.
not us. That's really what you need to do.
Yeah,
So I'm not sure
yeah, it's kind of
who
hard
are the right
to,
people to do that.
right, for us to come in and facilitate, I mean, you can encourage businesses to connect to Efficiency Vermont and BGS.
Yeah, but they're really good at doing that all the, like, they're very good at reaching out and being,
It's the conversion of, to get one of these commercial or industrials to actually
Do something.
do something is monumental.
Yeah,
And, you can audit what you want, but actually.
Well, I'm sure they're not gonna replace a system until it's ready to be replaced.
Right, yeah,
It's just like us with the homeowner
mhm,
decision, you know, because it's a big chunk of money.
yeah, and it's gonna depend on depreciation and what they return on and
Yeah.
all those factors. Which is much more precise than a homeowner.
I feel like, you know, I don't know about these two, but I feel like what might be of more value is facilitating a workshop or a walkthrough on using someone's home, somebody who's already done a lot of stuff, just as demonstration. You know,
That would be cool.
show and tell demonstration, or like a, walkthrough of the new public safety building with their geothermal heat. So that could be, I think, of real value, like, especially if you were to invite business owners to like a walkthrough, walkthrough of public safety building or a business who's done.
is this state? Police, did they do a geothermal?
Yep.
Oh, wow,
Mhm.
good for them.
Yeah. So, I don't know, that's my opinion, but that's where,
That may be the catalyst to getting a landlord or a commercial business owner to do something. By showing them what's out there,
Yeah. It's kind of like what we do with the EV cars, you know, we show
Mhm.
people that we drive them and ask us how it works and.
Mhm.
People do like garden tours, you do like a home.
Right.
tour.
Mhm.
So do we want to change these? Or are they generic enough? Facilitated workshop or building walkthroughs by Efficiency Vermont.
It's
With
probably, yeah.
commercial and industrial business to encourage implementation.
Probably
And then you can
generic.
just write into it
Mhm.
what you're actually gonna do. You know, when we
Yeah.
talk about doing an energy fair up above, we don't say how we're gonna do it, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, or we could just take out Efficiency Vermont and then just say that. Keep it more general.
Yeah.
Or building
so that we-
walkthrough.
About the walkthroughs.
Yeah.
No. Okay with that.
Almost there.
Okay,
Oh, all right.
all right, that seems pretty,
That's easy.
agreeable,
It's like,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and then other pathways, aren't many levers we can pull, it'd be great to engage commercial and industrial energy users more.
It's gonna be hard.
And then this, yeah, like workshop highlighting businesses that have rooftop solar to show benefits like that. You know, so yeah, again, I think that sort of can go into the walkthrough category there, but
It is making headway just today.
mm,
Like right next door to where I live, one of the big 3-story apartment buildings that's been there 10, 12 years or so, they're putting solar on.
yeah. Mhm.
They started today. you know.
Huh.
And so a huge amount of the commercial and rental buildings in Finney Crossing are all gonna be solar.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, it's, you know, it pays, like, for them to do that,
Yeah,
so.
and that's why I put the Kismet building in there, just cause I remember the woman who
Yeah.
owns that applied to be on the energy committee.
oh, really?
And when we were doing our interviews in the same night, and she was talking about her building, she was like, my building is like a power plant, you know, like with all the energy that I generate, so I thought she might be a good
Yeah.
commercial building to
Right,
use for that,
right,
maybe.
engage somebody like that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
We made it.
so if I, work on the things that needed to be fixed. And maybe, I mean, should I resend out the survey with the revised language or what do you wanna do? Do you trust me to just do it and we'll just review it at the very end or? Or,
I don't think we need to review
Yeah,
it.
Yeah.
to re-vote on things, no, we're trusting you, and I will send you this
yeah,
piece tomorrow.
okay.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, everybody. All right,
Sure.
so we have a few
Okay.
things.
Um,
Okay, so the Observer article, Living Green last week was on, the kind of public outreach on window dressers. Did anybody write to us, Melinda, or do you know if anybody ordered any?
I don't know, I
Yeah.
mean, so they were supposed to contact the,
Like a-
Burlington window dressers.
Yeah,
So I don't know, except that Jim McCullough, I
right,
think he's.
but
got-
he did that before the article came out, so,
Yeah,
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
I mean, we could ask Allison
Yeah.
maybe, she might know.
Right.
But I thought it looked really good, the article, I mean, the picture and everything looked nice.
Yeah, that came right off the window dressers website, I
Yeah.
lifted that.
Sure,
No, I'm sure they won't
Thanks.
mind, we were promoting their
Yeah.
product, you know.
But I have not heard about anybody else in Williston. And then, yeah.
Okay,
mhm.
and then. It's already the 10th of the month, the next Living Green article, if we're gonna write one now, Kevin Batson, are you still on?
No,
No, he's right.
He had an idea that dealt with. The whole bike safety and safe routes to school, and kind of, we have done one of those before, but kind of. Newer ideas and more current discussions, which was fine with me. We do have a deadline on that at the 20th, so it's only 10 days from now, that has to go to the Observer.
Wait, what was, okay, he's come up so darn fast.
Yeah,
I know,
they
I
do.
haven't written one in a while, and I think
Yeah.
it's because like by the time I like wrap my head, it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Press waits.
I feel like I had an idea, but I totally forgot.
We've also were talking months ago, because spring is here, another spring energy efficiency type, not building energy efficiency, I don't know whether it was.
Cooling?
Equipment, or cooling, or something, somebody had an idea, but I don't know.
I feel like I brought up cooling at one point because it's gonna become a bigger thing here.
Mhm.
Oh, my mind went, make sure that no one had central air. I was like, what? Well, the first things I installed because I'm not moving.
Um,
So,
What's Kevin saying?
And that's it.
Mhm.
Also, while everybody's still here. Well, anyway, so you gonna make, is there any more to talk about for the, article or?
It's just something needs to be put together. I mean, we're
Yeah.
not obligated to write an article. I just like to give the observer a heads up if we're not going to, so they try and fill their page with something else, you know, so. I don't wanna get to the last day and say, well, by the way, we don't have anything. But if
Mhm.
somebody wants to draft 500 words
Yeah,
to 700 words over the next 5 or 6 days and then, you know, get it out there for comment and I usually do the cleanup and then publish it, then we're fine.
So on April 5th, Kevin says,
Yes,
Amy Brewer of SRTS agreed to work with me on this month's article. If that's
Oh.
agreeable, please send any ideas to you. Ideas you would like to have included.
didn't,
that was open to all of us.
Yeah.
I mean,
that was this,
Yes, yeah, yes,
April
yes,
5th, so
okay,
I
yes,
think it's this one.
yeah,
yes, it is, yes, right here, yes,
Yeah, because we're talking about micro.
yes.
That's it.
okay. We could just reach back out to him and see if he
Yeah.
still wants to do that, maybe.
If not, maybe we skip this month and spend next time figuring out another,
I
like,
wonder if we could do like an electric lawn care. Like aren't people
Oh,
gonna be
maybe
buying
with,
mowers and
Oh.
stuff?
Like a
We
weed
could-
whacker, get yourself an electric weed whacker.
We
and
could
mower or
highlight
something
that
like
the DPW, is getting.
Would be a
the
great
electric
opportunity.
lawnmower.
that is a great
Yeah.
idea.
Then,
That's
you
a good
know,
one,
it's-
yeah. The robot.
Yeah, the
Robot
robot
robots,
and
yeah.
a lawn.
Oh, the
Zero
line
to-
painting robot, I need to go see this
I
in
know.
action sometime, I'm gonna pull up a lawn.
So,
Yeah.
can you write something? Can you go find something? Find the
I mean, I'm
information?
happy to do one on the lawn care.
There's also the
For
the
May.
perennial no mow May.
Yeah, cause that
Yes.
would go well with no mow May, be like,
Yeah.
don't
Now-
mow, but.
Well,
When
now
you
it's
do, here's the
moving,
time
it's
to-
moving from no mow to actually convert your lawn.
Yes, yeah,
But if we did do it, one
Just give up
related to
on
no mow May,
Yeah,
do
like
it
just
this
don't mow
month.
it
Yes.
instead of mow
You know,
left.
'cause
because otherwise it's too late. Yeah.
Well, it's not just about no mow too, it's about wait until you're, even to do yard cleanup, wait
Mm.
until the soil is at least 50 degrees overnight, because that's when things are hibernating.
Right.
But I can write that up.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Okay,
Cleanup day,
yes.
do you wanna have a table, the same as last?
So that's the reason it's there, yes, the announcements came out from planning,
Yeah,
so that's May
May 4th?
4th or
I
something.
know that I'm gonna have a kid birthday party that day, so I'm probably out.
Star Wars too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's born
that's
May
right.
3rd, so
Yes, it is
there's,
Star Wars,
I'm
yeah.
almost guaranteed, 'cause
Yeah.
that's a Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, her birthday's gonna be that. I saw that and I was like, yep, there's no
Yeah.
way, I'm gonna totally get wrangled into that.
Anyway, I mean,
Write a note.
it's not a big deal, like, I'm gonna be in the tent anyway, and I'll probably bring some energy swag there and put it on a table, so.
It's the same thing we've done for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a low key
Yeah.
one. We can each take an hour and do something, you know.
Yeah.
We've got time to think about it and do it.
Well, yeah, and I can always do, it's generally in the morning, right? I could probably help with setup if anything.
9 to 1, it's,
Yeah.
Yeah, I could probably do like setup in like the first hour, it's just gonna be whenever,
yeah.
usually birthday parties are like 10 minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm gonna do no mow May
Yes.
for this April.
Great.
Okay, I can do that, but I'm also gonna talk about general lawn care, about how you're not supposed to rake or disturb pollinators,
Oh, that's,
because
yeah, yeah.
you may not be in a place where it makes sense, like mowing may not mowing may not have a huge impact, but
there's
not
Yes.
disrupting
It's
your
called,
grass.
don't have a sterile lawn.
Yeah,
Yes, yes, yes.
like, don't chemically
Yeah.
treat, don't, like, it's not even just about mowing, it's about disturbing pollinators.
Feel free to take one if you want.
All right,
Hey, just one comment on that. There was a lot of, I guess, interesting feedback last year on No Mow May. Some people want to be opposed to anything, so there was, talking about, the impact of
Mosquitoes, yeah.
the mosquitoes, and then when you finally do mow and whatever, I will still be doing no mow May. But all which is said, Marie, I think like focusing it on like you said, maybe even very little, like just like acknowledgement of no mow May, but focusing it on the other stuff that you talked about, and maybe even referencing some of last year's stuff, like the things people had to say about it. Like it's a, hey, you know, people spoke out about no mow May, and you're right. What you should actually be doing is all the other stuff, like delaying lawn care entirely, not raking leaves in the fall, minimizing lawn sizes.
Don't hire a chemical company to spray stuff all over your lawn.
No mow May starts in the fall is what I'll probably say. And then, like, my husband's argument is like, look at all of the fields next to us. That's where the pollinators are gonna go anyway. And I'm like, yeah, but they also hibernate
We can't take it
in our
back.
yard and in other places, like you
Yeah.
might disturb them. So even if it's like,
Mhm.
oh, well, I'm not mowing down flowers, well, but you might be mowing down eggs or dormant.
Mhm.
So we'll call this Better Lawns and Gardens, instead of Better Life Through Chemistry, Better Life.
Yeah, better lawns and gardens.
All right, good, thank you. All right, so it's 8:23, anything else? Oh, I know, LEAP, the LEAP
Best.
Fest is this weekend.
Yeah.
In Waterbury at the CrossFit School. And then June 2nd is the BCAN conference, which I just found out about today.
Mhm.
I will send you guys a link to it. They haven't officially announced it. They put it on the website and then forgot to tell anybody. So it's at Vermont Law School in South Williston.
Oh, interesting.
So I will send you the link where you can sign up if you wish to go.
Okay.
With that, do we have anything else? Or should we adjourn?
I'd motion to adjourn.
We are adjourning at 8:24. Thank you all very much.